Alright guys, so I just wanted to go over the developing phase and what this might look like in your sketchbook. Everyone's a little bit different, and how you develop your ideas. Again, this is one of those things, I have 3 steps I want you to do, but you might approach it in a slightly different way. So as I talked about in the introduction video of artistic thinking process, developing ideas, so there are 3 steps for this. There's sketching thumbnails, after you have, of course, gotten your inspiration. So, of course, you should have kind of your general idea of what you want to create. So in this case, I just said I was going to focus on objects and still lives. So I sketched 3 different thumbnails. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. Now, your 3 different thumbnails could be 3 completely different pictures, but a lot of times you take your idea that you're working from. So you'll notice that I have an apple, a coffee cup, and a glass in all 3 of these pictures. And what I did in my sketching was try different layouts for them, move things around, have different perspectives. Okay, so you'll see that in this one, the apple's kind of off to the corner and out of the picture a little bit, and the cup's partially cut off, and then kind of the center point is the mug. And this one, the mug's really front and center, and you only see part of it, the top of it, where the apple and the cup are off in the background. And then here you see all 3 pictures arranged just in a different layout. So you can do 6 thumbnails if that's what you need to do, or you can do the minimum of 3, but usually I like to see at least 3. I do want to point out that they are not as big as your thumbnail. Okay, I'll have some students that will do this, and they'll do a thing this big and draw their picture and say, okay, that's my thumbnail drawing, and you can't even see anything in there because that's the size of their thumbnail. Thumbnail is just a term. They usually are small little sketches that don't put a lot of time. You'll notice that these are very sketchy. They're not meant to look finished. It's just me figuring out where I want to put things in the picture. Okay, and then from there I decide, okay, I like this one, and I might be using this one as my reference. The next thing for your developing ideas that I went over was your essential questions, which that's in the presentation. I'm not going to go over here. But when you're doing this in your sketchbook, I do want you to write it down. So you'd put essential question, and then using the kind of topics that I gave you, you'd pick one of those, and then from there build your question. So my topic was I'm inspired, and that means I'll consider how artists' artwork and concepts inspire me. And so I'm being inspired by Paul Cezanne and his still life paintings. So my essential question for this project is going to be, how can I use Cezanne's paintings to inspire my still life drawing? So that's kind of the big idea I'm using when I am creating this work. Okay, so you have an idea behind what you're doing for your project. So the final part of your planning, and you might need 2 pages for this, guys. I'm actually technically going to need 2 pages for this, but I'm showing you, is finalizing your ideas. And nothing's ever set in stone, but this is you kind of starting to make those decisions. What is going to be your subject? So in mine, it's a still life, and I'm going to have an apple, glass, and coffee cup. Okay, and I'm going to work from a reference picture. Okay, so notice that I have said that I am working from a reference picture. So if you are working from a reference picture, give them credit. My medium I'm choosing is oil pastel. Media means the supplies you're using. So if you were doing mixed media, you might write mixed media and then list the mixed media supplies you're doing. Or if you're doing color pencil, and so on. So I'm going to be doing oil pastel for this. And then some techniques I'm going to be focusing on are blending, texture, overlapping of items. Okay, and of course, for me, I'm also going to try to be inspired by Cezanne's multiple colors that he used in his still lives. So I might throw in Cezanne style, which is kind of a post-impressionistic style with my techniques. So this kind of is what it looks like, and you can lay yours out any different way. And then on the back of this, which I haven't done yet, but on the back of this, before I get started on my real project, I might try to practice some of my techniques, or it could be the next page, however you did your sketchbook. So I might play with oil pastels. I might do a little apple here and play with the way I can blend with the oil pastels and create value in shading. All right, so definitely part of the finalizing your project is practicing anything you need to practice. That doesn't mean you have to draw your whole picture and complete your whole picture in the sketchbook. It just means getting a feel of whatever material you're using, or if you were learning a technique like one-point perspective or shading with oil pastels or some oil pastel techniques, maybe you practice on here before you start on your final project, okay? So just wanted to show you guys that, and you can use that as a reference for developing your ideas for this lesson.